Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Black Women Amplified, the podcast. Your host, Monica Wisdom Tyson, brings you downloadable conversations that matter to women around the globe. We discuss all things Black girl magic, amplify our voices, and transform our challenges into triumphs. Monica calls on her league of extraordinary women to push our boundaries, share their expertise, and stories of personal transformation. Welcome your host of Black Women Amplified, Monica Wisdom Tyson.
Hello, Black Women Amplified family. This is your girl, Monica Wisdom, and I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Make sure you tell a friend, tweet a friend, text a friend, email a friend, and let them know that we have a new episode available. Also, make sure you visit www.blackwomenamplified.com to get the full Black Women Amplified experience and join our email list so that you get my weekly newsletter, letter. Let me get my words together. Y'all know speaking is my second language, writing is my first language. So make sure you check out the blog on the Black Women Amplified podcast. Listen, today is going to be an amazing show, so I want to get right into our proper introduction of our guest. I'm beyond excited to bring you an extraordinary conversation with Lisane Basquiat. She is the epitome of what it means to move through life with purpose, power, and grace. Like so many, she followed that blueprint. You know, the one where you go to college, corporate life, marriage. But when life threw her challenges, she did what a true leader would do. She redefined life on her own terms. Not only did she create a path for herself, she expanded it to open up pathways for other people with two incredible businesses, including Shaping Freedom, as well as the Shaping Freedom podcast, where she drops knowledge and gems about purpose and transformation and has incredible interviews with extraordinary people that I can't wait for you to hear. So make sure that you follow her over there. Now let me tell you what else she does. If that's not enough, she, alongside her sister, managed the estate of her beloved brother, Jean-Michel Basquiat. They ensure that his vision stays true and his legacy is intact. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait for you to meet this incredible, extraordinary person who is a kindred spirit. And I'm so honored that she carved out the time to talk to us about her life, her journey from Brooklyn girl to award-winning entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Black Women Amplified welcome to Lisane Basquiat. Well, now that you are in a much better space and you're clear on your path,
I am. Yeah.
What inspires you and what brings you joy?
Ooh. I love joy. I love joy. I love joy. And joy is different from happy. Happy is like hanging out at a club and dancing and laughing with friends. That's happy. It's fleeting. We are blessed with happy moments. Joy is something different. Joy is a way of being. Joy is trusting and having faith in myself and having faith in the divine and in my life, that my life matters.
Mm-hmm.
I think joy is also what happens when you discover different parts of yourself and you discover kind of the treasure trove of what makes you up and who you are. I feel joy when, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but I feel joy when like something when I feel triggered by something. And I'm like, ooh, what is that? Ooh, I don't like this. I feel like a deer in the headlights right now. And I got a lot more happening in here than I'm able to put into words. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
And digging into that or diving into that and then discovering like, oh, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's what this is. There's something I need to,
Handle.
or that I want to handle. and confront. That's joy to me, because once those things are confronted, what happens is you pull it out by the root. So everything that was tied to that thing also falls away. Like if you're making decisions that are not in your best interest romantically, and you're on a cycle of different face, different name, same person. And then you get to number 10 of those jokers, and you're like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute, Lisane. What's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's happening? What's going on here? Are you choosing from a place of what you don't want, or are you choosing from a place of what you want? And what I mean by that is, I don't want a guy who wears purple pants. So the next guy doesn't wear purple pants, but he wears red pants. And I don't like red pants either. So the next guy, and so on and so forth. But when you get down to the root of it and you pluck that out, that entire decision making, the toxicity in that decision making dissolves and goes away. And you heal it up, not just for yourself, but you heal it up for anyone in your family line who has poured that decision making into you, and you heal it up for anyone that's coming after you. That's joy.
Mm-hmm. I learned that it's like we are multidimensional beings, that when we heal, it does heal
Absolutely.
all around us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful. Now, you have had such a dynamic life, an amazing life, the good and the bad. It's all been amazing.
Yes.
Because you've learned and you've loved and you've lived and you've lost. If you could relive of the most remarkable moments in your life, if you could relive one moment, what would that be?
Ooh. This is a very recent moment, very recent, that I'm still vibing off of. So if I could relive that one, that'd be fun.
Oh.
I had a milestone birthday a few weeks ago. I turned 60.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. I'm a Virgo, September 3rd. And my daughter Jessica, who is 31, and she has my granddaughter, Emma, is 7. And I have a son, Joseph, who will be 43 on Saturday. And I have a 17-year-old grandson, Xavier. So Jessica says to me, we're going to do something for your birthday. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be fun. Just hold this weekend. So I'm like, okay, cool. That done. So that Friday, I'm like, okay, so I'm packing. What am I packing? She's like, just a couple of bathing suits and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And I didn't even do any of like the exploration that I would have done at other times in my life to try to figure out what was going on. I was like, I'm going to let this surprise happen. So we get in a car. She comes, she picks me up. She's rented a car. She has a car. She rented a car. And I'm like, okay. And so long story short, the surprise was that she rented a house in Palm Springs. And my son showed up late. Well, my Virgo sisters, I have 2 friends, Nicole and Amy, who are my Virgo sister friends.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone ever found our text thread, it'd be crazy. Okay. It's insanity. But so they show up. And then later on that night, that Friday night, my son and my cousin nephew, my son Joseph and my cousin nephew, Tyrone, shows up, whom I love, love, love. So I'm thinking, okay, we're in this house. My granddaughter Emma's there, Joseph, Tyrone, Nicole, Amy, and Jessica. I'm thinking that's the weekend. We're going to hang out for the weekend in Palm Springs. Well, starting the following morning, and we had stayed up to like 4:00 in the morning because it's hot. So we were in the pool until like 4 in the morning. Starting the following morning, they had people stagger in one by one to wish me happy birthday. I was laying in bed. I was like, I'm so tired. And they were downstairs like barbecuing and stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a barbecue. They just let me lay down. And they're all downstairs and I don't know what's going on. I'm upstairs. And I can like hear them talking and all that. And then she'd come to the door and say, oh, look and I'd like pick my head up and look. And my friend Elaine is like leaping across the room onto the bed, like, happy birthday. And then a few minutes later, someone else would come in, my friend Hayat from New Jersey and my friend Sharon from New York. And then I looked up at one point and my sister, Shanine, is there. And it was just this beautiful, beautiful. My friend Lance, my brother friend Lance, came from St. Lucia, and people just came from all over, from wherever they were, to share in this beautiful weekend. And we just all hung out, all by the pool. And it was like there was this one moment where I was in the hot tub, even though it was 115 degrees, didn't make sense, but I was in the hot tub with my granddaughter Emma. And from the hot tub, I could see the pool and the back of the house. And I'm looking, and there's like a crowd of my friends here, a group of my friends at the table, people at the barbecue grill. And it was just this beautiful moment of love and community. Yeah. So that's what popped up for me.
Girl, that's your book that weekend.
It was, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that memory. That is beautiful. That's for me, that would be the perfect way to spend my birthday. Perfect way.
Yes. And what I loved was also the attention to the little detail that sometimes, especially like when we're doing events having to do with my brother, it can be very overwhelming to have a group of people and then have them all kind of come up to speak with you. This was a different situation. This was personal. And I really appreciated that instead of creating a situation where it was like surprise and everyone, having that,
it just kind of eased in.
She created a way to ease in and for me to truly have a moment of connection with each one of the people who came. So if y'all planning a surprise, that was brilliant. That was a brilliant way of doing it.
Because I know if a bunch of people came at me with surprise, I would I'll be right back.
Yeah. And then how do you talk to all the people? Because they're all going to be coming up to try to have their moment and you're overwhelmed. This was a way to actually take each one of those seeds of a moment to really plant them deep. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. All thanks to my daughter, Jessica.
All thanks to that legacy that runs through your family about building community and generosity and expressing love in the moment. So all of that is absolutely gorgeous. Whew. Yes. So anybody's listening, when I turn 60, this is what I want, but not in the
Do
heat.
it. Do not need. Do it for her. Do it for her. Make sure this, that it's a little cooler than 100 degrees at 11 o'clock at night, but do it.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Monica Wisdom here. I am the host and the producer of the Black Women Amplified podcast. But what you might not know is that I'm also a consultant for women entrepreneurs. I help women entrepreneurs develop their ideas, their brand, and their overall business strategy. Are you developing a groundbreaking idea or have a wealth of knowledge that could impact the world but unsure where to go next? Business is good, but you're ready for it to be great. With countless ideas racing through your mind, it's challenging to figure out what's next. I understand. You have excelled with top companies, but entrepreneurship feels like a new language. The truth is, you can do this. You've achieved great success for others, and now it's time to achieve it for yourself. At Monica Wisdom Consulting, we focus on your vision and crafting a clear, concise, strategic plan. Your dreams are within reach. You simply need a powerful roadmap to get you there. Are you ready to take the next step? Book a call and let's discuss your vision and future. You can reach me at www.monicawisdomhq.com. Now, your brother's legacy is a powerful legacy to carry. How do you navigate the emotions when there are people that are pulling at you for him and you're like, I just need to be with this right now? I just need to we're not doing this right now. We just need to be ourselves and be a family. And then when we're ready, we'll share this with you. How do you navigate all of that?
Wow. Thank you for asking that, because that has been, I don't feel that my sister and I carry his legacy, and our dad, who really created the estate and ensured that Jean-Michel's legacy is being respected and all of that. Our dad, Gerard Basquiat, who passed away in 2013. Boundaries, boundaries, and clarity. I have had times where, my sister and I both, but I've had times where people sometimes are not always as sensitive as you even are in your asking of the question. It's like they see myself and my sister and our family, but it's almost like they see Jean-Michel and they don't understand that there's the Jean-Michel who's the public persona and the artist. And then there's the Jean-Michel that is my brother who's passed away. And so as we're having these conversations, people aren't always sensitive to that. And so what it has done for me is it has taught me how to be clearer about my boundaries, and not in a way that's nasty or aggressive, because I know that people are doing that out of love and appreciation and care for Jean-Michel and for his legacy. You know, he's an amazing artist. He's been an amazing being for the world and for our culture specifically. But it really is letting people, like, being very honest with people. So when people say things like, did you know he was an artist when you were 7? Or how do you feel about your brother not being here? I often push back on them to say, how would you feel if your brother had passed away and we were in this moment? What kind of relationship did you have with your brother? How would you feel if somebody were to pick a snapshot in time when you were 17 years old in high school and whatever, or if a friend from high school came forward and claimed themselves to be an expert about your brother, your sister, your mother, your aunt's life, how would that feel for you? So I think a lot of times it's really holding up a mirror is the way I navigate it, and also being very authentic and saying, I need a minute. This is hard. I do a lounging with Lisane. It's a free hour on Mondays, and it's an online thing. And this past Monday, I decided finally that I was going to do this lounging with Lisane about the loss of a sibling, because it's a very unique place to be.
I know
Because
that.
it is, yeah, it's about watching your parents process their loss and their grief. And sometimes as a sibling, have you lost a sibling? I'm so sorry.
I tell everybody I've lost my mom, my dad, and my brother.
Well,
And
here you
I
go. Me
lost,
too.
yeah, I lost my parents before I lost my brother. But I tell people that there's such a special language between siblings and a special understanding that people say, well, it's not a child, but it's just something about your brother, your sister.
Absolutely. Do you have other siblings?
Yeah, I do. Well,
Okay.
I have sibling cousins.
Okay. I understand. I understand. My cousin nephew. I told you.
Yeah.
That's my cousin nephew. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the nuclear family, I don't. So it's one of those things, and I'm not here to talk about me, but it's such a special relationship that a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're close. I can't imagine what it's like when the world wants your brother and he's not here.
Right.
I don't know that story, but I
Right.
do know what it feels like when you want your brother and he's not here.
Absolutely. Right. And for us, there were 3. So if you think about a stool with 3 legs, there were 3, and now there were 2. And both Janine and myself were very close to Jean-Michel, and each had our own relationship with Jean-Michel and had our own relationship with each other within the context of being 3. And so when one of those stool legs goes away, the other 2 have to now renegotiate, re-navigate, and re-ground in a way to hold each other up and to hold the sibling trio up. having lost Jean-Michel before both of our parents passed away, put us in a situation where we watched what happened to our parents
Mm.
having lost a child and how that changed their lives forever in so many different ways. It's unique. It's a unique thing. And so, again, last Monday, I'd heard, like, over the course of a week and a half, I spoke with maybe 5 or 6 people who had all experienced having lost a sibling. And that's typically how I decide what the topic is going to be for a lounging. And so that was what it was about. And so we meditated together. We did a forgiveness exercise, a forgiveness meditation that I lead, and we just talked about it. And there were no answers necessarily, but it was a safe space where people who had all experienced a similar thing could talk about it and vent it out without having to use all the words that you sometimes have to use when you're talking to someone who hasn't experienced it.
Mm-hmm. I often tell people, if somebody hasn't been through it, don't ever expect that they have the language to have a conversation with you, because unless you've experienced it, there's no language until you experience it.
Exactly.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's not something where 2 weeks later, it goes on for years and it pops up in different ways. It's a scent of something, it's a song, it's a moment where those folks, your ancestors, you remember them. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have, like I said, you have to be reminded of it because you are the executor of an estate
Mm-hmm.
of one of the most prolific artists ever. And I can't imagine what you go through, but from what I can tell you, you are handling it well.
Thank you. I'm trying.
And the way that you all honor your brother's legacy is beautiful, what you're putting out into the world. And your father did a great job ensuring that he would be remembered well.
That's right. He sure did.
Are there any things about your brother that you want the world to know?
I would love for the world to take a page from Jean-Michel's book. That's what I would want the world to know. That what one of the things that makes Jean-Michel who he is to the world and to the culture is that he was not just a brilliant artist, but fearless in his expression of his art, that he allowed it to come up through and out of him. And what I would love folks to know, because Jean-Michel left a lot. He left a lot of work. He left a lot of his voice. You know, you can look at his artwork. That's his journal. So if you want to know about him, do that. And something to take to pour into yourself is to really consider and contemplate what your life and your worlds can look like when you really tap into the person that you are and why you're here, and what it looks like when you have direct communication. So often we communicate more in our minds than we do with the very person that we're having the exchange with. So know that it is possible to live a life where you are free and where you are authentically showing up as yourself without worrying about how people are going to judge it or what other people think about it. Give yourself a chance to allow the full expression of who you are to come out. And I think a lot of times we start that process and then we cut it short. So we never know what the end of the story could be or is. Invest in allowing it to come out of you and then see what your life can actually be.
Girl, you are preaching today. Before we pass this plate,
Red
before the
wine.
choir begins,
That wafer.
before I pull out this tambourine, woo, that's the word. Like, that's a word. Yes, stop stopping. Stop stopping. Just
Don't
go
stop.
with the
Yeah,
flow
stop
of your-
stopping.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
beautiful. Now, we've talked about your brother. We've talked about your family. We talked about your challenges. Let's talk about your legacy,
Mm.
the legacy you're building. You have an amazing podcast. You have a couple of incredible companies. One where you help people navigate lives and rewrite their narratives. And then you have another where you're helping women build their own legacies through entrepreneurship. So tell us about your two amazing companies.
Hera Hub is a national company that is supportive of, that is inclusive. I need to be clear about that. And supportive of primarily female entrepreneurs, but it's open to anyone, quite frankly. But you're going to feel almost like if you came to my home or to your home, I'm sure like it'd be the home of a woman, like you're going to feel that. And if that feels right to you, it's the place for you. I own Hera Hub Carlsbad here in San Diego. And Hera Hub Carlsbad is a co-working space, business accelerator. We have programs, we have workshops. Our goal and our intention and mission is to support female entrepreneurs to grow and scale their business and to give them that support. We talked a little while ago about the experience of having lost a sibling and how unique that is.
Mhm.
And there's a conversation that you can have with an entrepreneur that is very different from the conversation that you may be having with friends or with other people. A lot of times people take their dream of starting a business and they go and they present it to people who cannot support you, who do not understand, and who, quite frankly, could try to walk you out of or talk you out of living your dream. So what Hera Hub does is it puts you in a space of other people who are doing the same thing, who can hold you up, hold you down, give you advice, support you, and who also understand the nuance of female entrepreneurship, which is we're also entrepreneurs, we're daughters, we're mothers, we're cousins. And so that is what Hera Hub is about. If you go to herahub.com/Carlsbad, you can learn more about that business. Amazing community. Shaping Freedom is where Hera Hub, for me, is kind of the professional leadership side of the work that I do.
Mhm.
Shaping Freedom is the personal leadership side. It is the side of what I'm sharing with the world that is about family legacy and healing things up so we're not bringing forward. So first, we understand how we've been programmed, what our values are truly, not the ones that have been given to us, but really who we are innately, and how we can clean up our lives so that we can contribute in a more healthy way to our community, to our families, and to ourselves. And we host workshops and programs, and we have this full, beautiful curriculum that's going to be launching soon for 2025, where we cover all kind of areas of life, setting boundaries, your relationship with yourself, your values, all of that stuff. I also have a podcast, the Shaping Freedom with Lisane Basquiat podcast, where I speak with ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things about the topics of family legacy, doing your work, healing, spiritual growth, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual growth and development.
I was moved by the conversation of choosing not to have children because I
Oh,
chose at a young, this sidebar, but I chose at a young age not to have kids. And, there's this conversation of we need to have children. Then I heard that I was like, I'm good.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
yes, your podcast is
Anita
wonderful.
Warrington, that was a
Yes.
conversation with Anita Warrington. She is so bold. She's so bold and so clear and talks about things that I think there are these conversations that are happening out in the world, like on the internet and other places. And then there are these other conversations that are
Mhm.
happening that are a step further and a step deeper into
Mhm.
like how we're made up. And I think that for me, what I know is that we have the right to choose. We have the right to choose the life that we want to live, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And I think it's equally important to be love and for people to feel included and welcomed and like their life decisions are okay. I think we're missing that in the world. We're so busy putting what we think is right for other people on them versus allowing people the opportunity to share with us who they are, what they want, and what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so Anita, speaking specifically about that conversation, she is a model for that, for
Mm-hmm.
speaking and living her truth.
Beautiful. And yeah, so everybody bookmark this amazing podcast because it's life-changing, because they're having real conversations about real life scenarios and people who
Thank you.
live what they talk about. It's a podcast of integrity, if I could say
Thank
it
you.
simply.
I'm also having these conversations intentionally with men because I think that there is such a divide. There's a lot of divide right now in this country, and there's this ongoing divide between men and women because things are changing so much. And so I have intentionally been having conversations with men as a way of allowing both men and women to hear the voice of the other side,
Mm-hmm.
to create a bridge between us where we can connect and to find entry points where we can connect so we can step away from what's happening right now, which is very much us against them, guys against women,
Mm-hmm.
where the other is the enemy and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. So I just wanted to share that that is one of the topics, one of the themes of this podcast. And I love the podcast. And if you know of someone who'd be a great guest, please let me know.
Oh, I already have a list of people.
Okay.
There's some
All right.
amazing women that have been on my podcast that I think would be
Okay.
perfect for you. So
I'd love to interview you on my podcast.
well,
I would love to interview you on my podcast.
ma'am, it's happening. Your people didn't tell you?
No. Did they? I don't know.
It's already happening.
Okay. Okay. I didn't even realize.
Listen, she's so fancy, she doesn't know her guest.
I do. It's not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. So it's not happening this week.
No, it's not.
Good. I'm so happy to hear that. Okay. Good. Nice news.
That's what happens when you grow up on Bloody Marys and people. I'm just kidding.
It could be. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it all happen. Okay.
Listen, I understand. People are like, what are you doing in a couple weeks? I don't know. What'd you do last week? I don't know.
I don't even know. My team is the bomb.
That is an entrepreneur's brain. You focus on what's in front of you right now.
What's happening right now. I'm right here with you right now. But I'm looking forward to that conversation. The one we're going to have on that.
I'm ready.
I know you are. We are each other's people for sure.
We are each other's people. I just have to thank you for your time. I could talk to you forever. You're always welcome back. This is the beginning for us.
I know that.
Yeah, this is the beginning. So I just want to thank you. How can people find you on the interwebs, even though you're very private?
Am I? Shaping Freedom. On all the social media platforms, Shaping Freedom. You can just look my name up. There's the LisaneBasquiat.com website. There's the ShapingFreedom.com website that'll connect you to each other. There's HeraHub.com/Carlsbad. We have both virtual and in-person membership. So if you're in the Southern California area, come on down. Yeah. You can actually join my email list. And we send out a weekly newsletter. And so that's actually a great way for you to stay abreast of what we're doing and what kind of programs we have going on. And we have tips and tools. And the goal really is to have and help people to have the healthiest family legacy they can possibly have. There's so much of a focus on generational wealth from a financial perspective. And just like the conversation we had about heart, mental and emotional freedom and clarity is what's going to drive your financial abundance. And so that's the goal, really.
Well, thank you for this conversation.
You're welcome.
Thank you to your family for each of you making such an impactful difference in the lives of other people. I know people think that your brother was born of an egg like Mork, but he has a full family and a full life.
Full.
So thank you for continuing to share the family's legacy with us. And I will be talking to you soon.
Yes, she
Ask
will.
your
Thank you.
team.
I will. I'm now like, oh my God, I got to go look and see what this is. I hope it's not this week
It's not.
because that's terrible. That means that I am well into my week without looking at what's
Listen,
going
you are
on.
focused, you have an
I am.
enterprise, and you are a mogul. So I get it.
This was beautiful. Thank you. I feel so honored to have time to chat with you. And I mean that sincerely.
I feel the same. You feel the tingles?
I
Like,
do.
this is the beginning.
I do. I really do. Wow. Yeah. Shout out to Billy.
Shout out to Billy. Keeps it together.
Yes, he does. Billy Johnson Media Repertoire.
I was like, let
Look
me
him
get my
up.
act together.
Yeah, he's the real deal. He's wonderful.
He
Yeah.
is. Well, thank you, my love. And you have an
Welcome.
amazing day. And I look forward to our conversation on shaping freedom. Black Women
Thank
Amplified
you.
family, please give a warm thank you to this beautiful, incredible woman, Lisane Basquiat.
Thank you.
Take care and have an amazing day.
Okay, you too.
Welcome to the Afterglow with Monica Wisdom. Hello, family. This is your girl, Monica Wisdom. Wasn't that a great conversation with Lisane Basquiat? I'm still glowing. I'm having my afterglow from the conversation. I love great, honest conversations. Y'all know I'm an introvert and I don't do small talk well. I'm awkward in small talk, but when it comes to deep, powerful conversations, I'm right there with you. And although it was an interview, I'm glad she was open to the questions that I asked. It's so funny. Let me give you the backstory. I wrote out like 1,000 questions, and I think I maybe asked 2 or 3 because the conversation became so organic that I was like, let me just leave that stuff alone and really just be in this moment, be present, and see where this navigates. And as I always do, I prayed before I had the conversation. I prayed a couple of times actually, because I was truth moment. I was very nervous about this conversation. And I have interviewed famous people and leaders and all of the things, but there's something special about the work that she puts out in the world that I very much admire. Not only the work she puts out in the world, but the way that she does it. And so it's like meeting, when people say you meet your hero. And I didn't know much about her, but it was around the time she was doing an exhibit for her brother. She and her sister and the estate were doing an exhibit called King Pleasure, I believe. And I saw some interviews with her and I was like, oh, it just came to mind. I was like, oh, I never, you don't think about people having a family and who their family is and what about their family. So I started Googling, I get on the Google and I started to see her work. It's like shaping freedom. That sounds interesting. So I plopped onto her website, read all of the things, and I said, one day I want to interview her, but she's probably, that was my first thought. She wouldn't. So it took me months to even muster up the courage to ask. And that's sometimes you just got to go with the flow of that quiet voice because I doubted it would happen. And so one day I woke up and God said, ask her. And so I went on her website and I sent a message in, and about a week later I got a reply. And I had to, you open something, I'm reading and I'm like, is this? And I blinked my eyes. I was like, oh, she said yes. And I was so excited. And here's the thing. It's not because of who her brother is, but she's putting work out in the world that I'm putting out into the world. So it's that she's like-minded, and it's when you're navigating through entrepreneurship and you're doing your own thing, it's very hard to find people that are in this, like walking the same journey as you and doing it in a way that you want to do it. So her work made me think about my work and what I'm doing. So even in the couple of weeks that we've been planning, I was planning with her publicist this conversation, and even in just was like, oh, I need to upgrade my stuff. So I went in and I redid the Black Women Amplified website. I expanded some things. I took some things away. And it was just because I finally saw a blueprint of exactly the direction that I'm going in. This point, I've just been doing it out of prayer and lots of mistakes. And then when I saw her shaping Freedom platform, I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's it. And you heard the conversation. It was like that moment when she said she saw somebody who was a coach and she was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. So it was one of those moments. I think maybe if I had met Maya Angelou, I would have had the same type of butterflies in my stomach. But I was really, really excited to talk with her. And the conversation was spectacular. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of the afterthoughts of this conversation. I think that she's doing a beautiful job of what she's putting out in the world. She's honoring her brother's legacy, Jean-Michel Basquiat, beautifully. And through all that she's been through, the loss of her mother, her brother, her father, and all the things that she talked about going through, she is a force of nature. And I hope that you plug into her, you plug into her podcast and into her world because, Black Women Amplified, we have to amplify each other. So sending you love and light. I hope that you enjoyed the show. And make sure that you visit our website, www.blackwomenamplify.com. And you get to see all the changes that I made because now, ta-da, we have an academy. Now, I had an academy on my other website, but I have blended all the things. Anyway, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love my website. Thanks again for listening. Share with a friend. Listen to the conversation twice because I promise you she dropped some gems. Take some notes. If you're looking to build your next chapter or there's things in life that you need to shed or unravel, this was the perfect conversation to get deep into that. This conversation and Rhonda Ross, I think, are two of the best conversations when it talks about having those powerful conversations with yourself. Anyway, have an amazing day, and thank you for listening to The Afterglow.
Thank you for listening to Black Women Amplified. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe and log on to blackwomenamplified.com for more information. Keep shining.